Okay, we ready? The Divine Romance, Chapter 1. The 6th day of creation was drawing to a close. The Lord had grown quite weary. Therefore, the angels were quite surprised to see him plunge into the final act of creation. You will clearly grasp what I am about to do, for you are the highest form of life in the unseen realm, the supreme creation within the invisibles. He paused, reached down, and scooped up a small handful of earth. He stared at the soil for a moment, then spoke again. From this red dirt, I will create the highest form of life within the realm of things visible. The creature I am about to bring forth will rule over the material universe, just as I rule over the spiritual universe. With those words spoken, the Lord God began to shape, mold the red dirt. The angels watched, and as they did, they whispered to one another, "This one shall be as God is, a he." They stared enthralled at their Lord's intensity. They noted how deeply the aloneness, his uniquely his, was etched upon his face. Suddenly, the look on the face of the Creator changed. He was searching for something in his own being. Slowly, he drew the element from out of his self and engraved it onto the clay. With the last sculpting stroke, he stepped back from the moist sod, allowing the angels to have a look of his completed work. They gasped in amazement and cried together, "His image! Visible! Ah! Wow! If he was invisible, this is what he would look like visible." Oh my gosh, they're like freaking out. Chapter 2. Once more the Lord God bent gently over the sculpted clay. For a moment the face of the living God and the face carved upon the lifeless clay almost touched. The Lord God breathed. Clay nostrils quivered and flared. The wet clay fleshed, stiffened, stirred, and began quietly breathing. Almost pensively, the Lord stepped back. The newest of creations turned his head and stared for a brief moment at the panorama of celestial beings gathered about. Then, in the most natural of gestures, the rouge-tinted man sat up, turned, and serenely faced his sculpture. With that, the Lord approached the model. Again, their two faces almost touched. While angels whispered their approval. Why, they are almost like brothers. Of all the innumerable creatures fashioned by his poetic hand, there was but one of whom it could be said, the Lord God was thinking of himself when he created this one. And as the angels had surmised, this latest and final creation was male. Not an it, therefore not an angel. Visible, therefore of the material realm, yet a far higher form of life than any other being that dwelt in the realms of visible. As the angels stood in wonder at this one, the truth declared itself. This creature would rule the earth as surely as the Lord God, in whose image he was so obviously created, rules the heavenlies. Further, it was noted, this creature unlike any visible animals or invisible angels, but very like God could love. And like God, the one called man had no kind after his kind. Man joined his God as one of but two living things that could love, yet who had no other upon whom to pour out that love. Of all the created beings, man was the only male who had no counterpart. Truly, man was the image of God. Okay, that was chapter 2. You ready for chapter 3? Here we go. I'm ready. You can hit pause, whatever. Okay. The seventh day was a day of rest for all creation. The highest activity of the day reached no higher than wonderment. The eighth day dawned. It was the first day of the week. For the Lord God, this day was to be a day spent in fellowship with his image. It was obvious that they enjoyed one another's company above all others. Together the two traversed man's terrestrial domain, wandering across the face of the emerald ball, roaming meadows, valleys, and hills. Together they drank in earth's beauty and absorbed its wind song. And as they went, first one, then the other would declare, "Ah, it is good." And this, yes, this is good too. But as the day progressed, the conduct of the man became disturbingly strange. He would fix his penetrating gaze upon some distant, misty object, and then suddenly bound his way toward it, only to find the lion, the leopard, or the eagle. For a moment, his discovery caused his face to fall. He would then slowly turn and murmur, in a pathos that could disquiet a sapphire, "Two. They're always two." The deep restlessness of the man intensified. At length, this disquieted of man was addressed by the Lord. "You have seen a goodly portion of all my creation, and you have seen the portion I have given you to rule. Is there anything in all this vast realm which to your observation might not be good?" Slowly and with the greatest deliberation, the man cast his eye over the vast and lush domain. The verdict was incontestable. All was good. Yet not all. There was something amiss deep within the man, something he could not define. Yet it was there, and he strove to identify it. A silent cry arose from within and chilled his being to the core. He again faced his Creator, fixing a steady gaze upon the blazing fires within the eyes of God. Neither spoke while eyes exchanged a contortionum of emotions. The mutual loneliness, the shared sadness that they alone, among all living things, had touched. The Lord at last broke the spell of silence. "Let us see for a certainty if all things in my creation are good." Man, by some spiritual instinct of his inner nature, knew that he was to call forth all the creatures of the earth and name each one of them. The animals came forth always in pairs, each with his counterpart. The lion pranced before man with his lioness, the proud stallion and the mare, the bull and the cow. Two, always two. "What is amiss here?" A wild look grew in his eyes as he cried out, "I am Ish, man, ruler of this domain, but alone. One, only one. Where is my counterpart? The last pair of animals passed. Man looked frantically about, then broke into a run across valleys and hills until he came to the precipice of a great mountain and began searching the horizon. "Are you there?" he called. "Are you there?" He scoured the whole terrestrial ball, then searched the moon and stars above. Slowly, silently, he made his way back into the valleys, into a waiting and very understanding God. Man again fixed his troubled eyes upon the blazing fire within the eyes of God. "What is it that is not good?" asked Adam. "I believe you know. Man, it is not good for you to be alone." For a long time, the young man and God, not old, shared in their spirits what no words, mortal or divine, could ever express. "You are my image, male, alone, and it is not good for you to be thus," said the Lord very quietly. Man searched out the face of God for a long time before he replied, "I am as you are, alone." Nope. Okay, I'm ending at chapter 3. I'll pick up at chapter 4 tomorrow for the next day. Great night.